tried to get Tom Campbell. We're hoping he's still going to show up, and we'll interview him maybe later in the week. But in the meantime, we had a great sit-down. John Carl and I spent some time with Charles Djou, the new congressman from Hawaii, Republican of Hawaii. Take a look. Congressman, thanks for being here. First off, what has this week been like for you? You're on the city council in Honolulu. You win this race that no one really gave you much of a shot, and all of a sudden you're voting on the floor of the House of Representatives.
Yeah. Well, aloha, thank you very much for having me on your show. Yes, this has been a whirlwind of a week. It has been exciting, exhilarating, and yes, also a little bit exhausting.
And I guess you don't have that much time to really enjoy it. I mean, you've got a re-election campaign in a matter of months.
Yes.
So what is that? How do you assess your own chances, given that you won with less than 40% of the vote? The two Democrats combined, had far more than you did, and this time around it's going to be head-to-head.
You know, I understand. I have my work cut out for me. I'm going to have to do what I've always done in every campaign I've campaigned in, and that is work incredibly hard and bring a strong message built around fiscal responsibility to the voters. I now, however, have a slight advantage that, of course, I am the incumbent running for re-election in this district, but I know I am the underdog here, so I know that I have to prove to the people of Hawaii every single day that I'm fortunate to serve them right now in the U.S. Congress that that the trust they have given to me is deserved.
A lot of folks are wondering what a Hawaii Republican will be voting like, because it's been a while since we saw one in Congress. And one of the first votes you took was to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And in fact, you're one of only 5 Republicans to cross party lines. Are we going to see more votes like that, where you're going to be voting really on the other side of Republican leadership?
You know, I've always contended and I've always campaigned upon, whether it was for the Honolulu City Council or for the United States Congress, my primary duty, my first duty, my only duty is that to my constituents. And now that I'm a congressman, I look forward to representing the people of Hawaii first and foremost. And when the national leadership of the GOP is right, I will stand with them. And when they are wrong, I will call them on it. And so votes like what happened last night, if I divide from the Republican caucus or the leadership, so be it. My job is to be the best congressman I can be for the people of Hawaii, not to be the leadership's congressman.
So why did you go against your party's leadership on the Don't Ask, Don't Tell question?
You know, on that particular issue, it comes from personal experience. I have served for nearly 10 years now as an officer in the United States Army Reserve. What concerned me about the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy is that it just simply doesn't work. And I saw too many instances as an Army Reservist, soldiers would sign up for a re-enlistment bonus, get this gigantic sum from the American taxpayer, and as soon as the unit gets called up to mobilize to Iraq or Afghanistan, they suddenly claim that they are gay with no prior indication at all of that whatsoever, get a discharge and keep the bonus. That's wrong, that's unfair, and that's why this policy should be changed. And I was very happy to cast that vote as I did last night.
One of the other challenges you'll be dealing with, of course, is the travel, the time zone.
Yes.
That is a killer flight to come back and forth to Washington, and plus you'll be up for re-election. Have you figured out how you're going to work that out? How often you expect to be back in Hawaii?
I'm going to be back in Hawaii as often as I can. Ideally, I'd like to be back every weekend. I know it's a lot. It's 24 hours round trip from Washington, D.C. to Hawaii and back. But if you've ever been to Hawaii, you should visit, and you'll understand why. It's well worth the visit.
A lot of political reporters are rooting for you to have a good race, so that we make the trip quite often.
There, trust me.
Well, come visit me on any time. I will give you solid assurances. I would much rather be conducting this interview with you in person on Waikiki Beach over a Mai Tai than in the Canon office building.
Now you mentioned fiscal conservatism as being one of your real core principles. When you see that we've had this debate over the extension of unemployment benefits, other emergency spending, I mean, is your position that all that spending needs to be offset, needs to be paid for?
Yes. Unfortunately, the federal government today is spending too much money. Even worse than that, we're spending too much money on programs that do not work. And worse than that, all this money, we have no plan to pay it back other than to hand the bill off to our nation's children. You don't have to look any farther than the nation of Greece to see what happens when a government lets its budget deficits grow out of control and its national debt balloon beyond reason. Right now, it's not that bad, but we have got to start controlling our government spending. I understand the issues and the difficulties facing with this extenders bill going for the U.S. Congress right now, but we've got to limit this spending here. We cannot continue to have this unchecked deficit spending continue to run amok here in the nation's capital.
Now, there's going to be times where a new colleague comes up to you and says, Charles, nice to meet you. I need your vote on this. I really need you to be with me on this. If it's the kind of earmark project, if it's a special project, are you saying, no, this is not something you can support?
You know, I'm going to look at it through the lens of what's in the best interest of my constituents in the state of Hawaii. If it's good for Hawaii, if it's good for our nation, they'll get my support. If it's good just for my party, but not good for our country or my state, they're not going to get my support. Specifically, however, on the issue of earmarks, I campaigned on and believe that we need a moratorium on earmarks. Earmarks, first and foremost, pork in and of itself, the problem with it is that, as the saying goes, you sooner or later run out of other people's money. But more generally, the reason I support a moratorium on earmarks is that has led, in my opinion, to a culture of spend here in Washington, D.C.
Well, that moratorium on earmarks will certainly run into Senator Inouye, who is one of the great earmarkers in Congress, bringing a lot of projects back home for the state of Hawaii.
You know, I have an enormous amount of respect for Senator Inouye, and it is respect richly deserved and certainly earned. I believe, however, over the long term, what we need to do is change the culture here in Washington, D.C. I'm a big believer in an open, honest, and transparent budgeting process, rather than having budgeting done in closed doors and under the table. And I also believe that this is in the best interest of my state of Hawaii. The majority of earmarks that come to my home state are in the Department of Defense budget, and Hawaii's strategic location, halfway between North America and Asia, I think will serve my state well. And an open, honest, transparent budgeting process, rather than this pork barrel earmark process, is actually better for our country, and it is better for my home state of Hawaii.
All right, Congressman Charles Djou, Republican of Hawaii, and that pin on your lapel is brand spanking new, very shiny.
Yes, it is. It's still shiny, and I look forward to being able to keep it on after November, and I look forward to the judgment of the voters.
Good luck to you in Congress.
Thank you so much here. Aloha.
Congressman Djou gets an aloha to Washington, and he's going to be an interesting couple of months for him as he adjusts.
And I'm with you. I hope that he heats up Hawaii politics, so it'll be a chance for us to get out there.
On the road, Top Line on the road. You heard it here first. So that does it for this edition. Until we're in Hawaii, for David Wright, I'm Rick Klein. Don't forget to click on us next time. In the meantime, it's twitter.com/thenote. Yes, a Republican Hawaiian. You gotta love that. It doesn't happen very often.